Good morning. It's me again, Jen. I hope you are all well on this wonderful Tuesday. It is May the 26th, and we are going to get right to it with our card for the day. And again, I hope all of you are getting something interesting out of this, whether or not it's a solid reading or if it's just a little introduction to the cards and their meanings and how that works and what some of the symbolism is and things like that. So, without further ado, let's draw our card of the day. We have the Two of Rods. So, in the minor arcana, the four suits of the tarot, which are what we base the standard playing card deck suits off of, the twos are typically kind of a balancing point. So while ones or aces are going to be the kind of start to something exciting, the twos are, okay, but it's time to make some choices and weigh the pros and cons of this situation. So whatever is out there that's happening in this case is going to be the pros and cons based on more of your thoughts, your ideas, your concepts, possibly even your work. So rods are, again, in the standard playing card deck, these would be the clubs, also known as the wands in some decks. We are using the Mary Roberts Hanson, deck, and these are beautiful cards. I love the sort of pencil design and watercolor-ish way of her art. And look her up. She's got some really beautiful art out there. So rods are to do typically with the mind. They're to do with career. They can sometimes to do with health as well. So if you see this in a reading and a lot of the other things have to do with maybe somebody's health or well-being, it may not have to do with the job. It may have to do with how they're feeling physically. So it is a card based in the physical realm of things, but in the sense that what our mind is connects us to the physical. So it's that go-between card. Rods, the Two of Rods, in this case, there's a gentleman, I assume he's a gentleman, standing at a wall, and he's overlooking what looks like a lake, possibly a river, could be the ocean. It's a body of water. The sun is sort of setting and or rising in the background, and I'll talk about that a little bit too. And in his hand, he has the world. So already you kind of know that this is going to be some sort of adventure, something outside of the realm of his comfort zone, because he's a traveler, he's an explorer, he's got the world in his hands, very literally. And the other thing that I notice about this one is that he's holding one rod, the other one is kind of supporting him or he's leaning against it. So I look at it as this is behind you. This is your structure that you've built. This is what you have to lean on. And this is what's going to carry you forward into your next venture. So based on whether or not what you've built is strong and your ideas and those kinds of things and your concepts, have you crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's sort of thing, depends on how you will progress. And he definitely is in a progressed kind of position. While the wall is in front of him, and clearly it's something he has to kind of overcome or get past, also he's looking ahead. He is looking for the next adventure, the next experience. The other thing I'm going to point out too before I go into some of the meanings of the card is that down towards the bottom where it actually says Two of Rods on the little ribbon, there are two flowers. Okay, so technically three flowers. Two different types of flower. And one is the rose and the other is the lily. Roses are red, life, empowering, love sometimes, things like that. The lily is purity, innocence, and also can be death. So when you look at these two, it's that balance between life and death, the balance between your passion and your innocence, the balance between love and, kind of that curiosity of things. So when I look at this, and I'm going to say too, I notice in this one that the rod that's behind him is also stabilized against the wall. It's a tiny little detail, but there's a bracket that's actually holding that one up against the wall. So he has a foundation that he has built, whether that be ideas or a job or whatever it might have been, or if this pertains to health, it's, have you done good things for your health? Are you checking your wellness? Are you eating healthy? Are you exercising? Are you doing all these things that are kind of a requirement for being a healthy individual if you're going to go on and do something next? Looking at this, I see a lot of times this card will come up when the person is either looking to get a promotion in the job that they currently have, or is looking to take the skills that they've learned in this job and apply them to something greater. They're ready to move on. They have outgrown the position that they're in. They've outgrown this job. There are no other things they can do to progress, to advance. They're not going to get promoted. There's no more. They've reached the top. They are the best of the best in that job, or maybe that job is a little bit of a dead end and it's time to move to somewhere where you have more ability to grow. And I say this too, it doesn't necessarily have to be a promotion where there's a monetary increase. We have all been in those jobs where we finally feel like we learned all there is to learn and we're a little bit bored. And it's time to try to do something more interesting. So if you're in a position where you're kind of bored with your job and this card comes up, probably time to start thinking of a new job. Or at least opening up a door to say, hey, in this job, I'm good at all these things, but you won't let me do them. Voice, a little bit of voice. So he's holding on to this new rod, this new idea, these new concepts, and he has the world in his hands. I look at this card as somebody who is ready to kind of take on the world. And a lot of people see this card in a reading when they need that reassurance. It isn't even so much that they need more lessons or they need that push or whatever it is. They need the reassurance. They need somebody to tell them, yeah, you're ready. Get up and go. You're fine. Take that step. Take the plunge. Dive in. Which brings us to the water. Water, unless it means emotion, which it does tend to mean, it also is a crossing over to something new. So when you have really two very poignant things here about moving on to the next level, the rod being in front of him, the facing forward, the world in his hands, and you have the water, which is could even mean a physical transport to somewhere new, but in some cases it's mental too. It's you're ready to take on something new. Your mind has been changed. You're willing to take different choices and different actions to get you to where you want to be. So it's the crossing the water. I look at this guy a little bit like he is Columbus about to, travel the world, or Marco Polo, or the Mayflower, or Lewis and Clark. Any of the people who are explorers. This is an explorer. And I know somebody's going to come back at me with like, well, some of those people were not very nice people. Okay, Leif Erikson. I don't know, pick one. Pick a famous explorer. Pick an explorer who means something to you. That's what this energy is. It's the explorer. It's somebody who's ready to take that plunge. They don't know what's on the other side of the river. They don't know what's on the other side of this ocean. They're just ready to go. They've planned it out. They figured it out. They're stable. They know they're ready mentally and physically and in their heart. And it's time. They are ready for this. You are totally ready for this. The sunrise and sunset in the background. When I see the sun depicted in motion, it's coming up or it's going down or you only see half of it. I look at it as, is this the rising of a new idea or the setting of an old idea? Both of them can be depicted in this card. I talk sometimes a little bit about cards that come up inverted. not all cards have a really definitive inversion. Some do. Some are like, whoa, that card comes up inverted. Look out, this is coming. In the case of this card, it's a little bit of telling you, yes, it's time to move on, but also now you're forced to move on. So are you going to leave the nest willingly, or is Mama Bird going to kick you out and you have to fly no matter what? When I see this card and it comes up inverted, it's a little more kick in the pants. If it comes up and it's got other cards around it, like the Tower or the World, or ones that are like depictions of big change, big, chaotic, crazy change, then I know this person's getting kicked out of the nest. They need to be active and ready to take the reins on this because they don't have a choice. In the case of it coming up upright with no other cards around it that may define how it's a negative or a push, this is very much the person is weighing those pros and cons. Do I go? Do I stay? And sometimes what the person needs is the reassurance of you're ready, whatever you decide. If you're totally happy with where you are, go ahead and stay. If you feel like you're stagnant, if you feel like it's time to go, you are ready also. It's time to go. You have all the tools you need. Go ahead, move on. So, Two of Rods, exciting card when it comes to making choices. And kind of think in a way for this particular time period, it's time to weigh the pros and cons. Do you want to go out into the world, or is it still time to stay back? Either way, you're totally ready, and it's a safe decision to make. I hope you guys enjoy these little readings. I hope you get something out of it and learn a little lesson about the cards. If you're interested in more lessons about the cards, maybe a little one-on-one, I do online Zoom meetings and other things to talk a little bit more about the lessons of the cards. And I also do readings if you're interested in a reading. Please let me know down in the comments. You can make appointments and things like that. So check it out. Check out my website. And also, if you're interested in technology and the metaphysical and how the twain shall meet, check out my book that I wrote with Bob Frank. It's called Cloud to Cloud. It's science fiction. It's a little bit fantasy. It's really interesting. And we had a lot of fun writing it. And it talks a lot about technology and the future. And there's Solaris. Just come say hello. So Solaris says goodbye. I say goodbye. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week. Bye.